Well, those voices there of Alok and Kishloy, the reports they filed, the voices of the people there belie what the politicians, what the state administration are telling us. It cannot all be cannot be well in 2 or 3 days. It's going to take much longer, and will need political will to make sure that things actually change. Will that actually happen? Who knows? I'm joined tonight by Mr. K. Rahman Khan, former Deputy Leader of the Rajya Sabha, one of the Congress MPs who met the Home Minister today to say that more must be done by the centre. I'm also joined by Praveen Swami, Associate Editor of The Hindu. I'm also joined by Mr. Barua, Bureau Chief of the Assam Tribune. Also with me, Rajiv Pratap Rudy, who of course has been in charge of the BJP in Assam. Let me go across to you first, Mr. Rahman Khan. Watching the ground reports of both Alok and Kishloy, it's absolutely unbelievable how the situation has come to this. What has the state government been actually doing? You've been worried as well. Do you think the state government has done enough? Do you think the central government must do much more?
Sonia, what has happened in Assam is a shocking incident, and the violence which has taken place. And obviously, everybody in the country is concerned about what the violence is going on in Assam. And now we met the Chief Minister to inform him that steps have to be taken to contain the violence and to see that people's suffering should be reduced, and the people who are flooding from their homes, they should be contained and they should be brought back, and relief measures should be provided to the people who are suffering. This is the intention of our meeting the Home Minister today, some of the MPs who are concerned about the development in Assam. And obviously things have gone wrong, and it has to be assessed why the things have gone wrong, what are the causes for that has to be assessed. But in the meantime, what is very important is nearly 2 lakh people have fled from their houses, and a lot of misery has taken place to the people. And the first task for the government is to see that they are all be rehabilitated, they are brought back to their places.
Right, and that can't be done by paramilitary forces. Rajiv Pratap Rudy, come in here. The BJP, of course, had a fact-finding team which has just returned. What is your report, and what do you think the government must do at this stage?
Well, it's the saddest thing which is happening there. And what do you expect me to say? Number one, normalcy should be restored. Lakhs are homeless. They have to get back to their homes. There is murder, arson and loot. I will not point out which group or whatsoever. But the first requisition or the first requirement is to bring back normalcy. Now, if we as politicians have any tears in our eyes, and this is how we tend to run this country, whether it is any political party, this is not absolutely new what is happening. It's been happening in Assam for a while now, and whether it's a Bodo movement, whether it's the other groups movement, it's been happening there very often. So yeah, it doesn't matter to the politicians today what is happening in all these places. And we have by design and choice created such situations. And no one is ready to debate these issues. Occasionally the Supreme Court would intervene and say, look, this has been happening, why don't you set it right? If I speak more than what I am speaking today, my friends and colleagues in the Congress and the opposition will say that we are communal. My concern is this the way we are going to run this country for long? And if we continue to indulge, the priorities of this country are in vote, not in the people of this country, not in governance, not in protecting the borders, we would be called anti-national, and those who speak those language would be called national. Now this is the psyche of this country. I don't want to pronounce it more, but this is not the end of it.
Let me bring
I want a complete end.
Yes.
End to what is happening there, but we all as politicians are responsible for what is happening, and this is happening in the entire border states of this country. Please do not. Yes, go ahead.
No, I would just want to bring in Mr. Kalyan Barua, who is of course Bureau Chief of the Assam Tribune here. When you hear Mr. Rudy, and the BJP has made it quite clear what they feel the issue here is, they say it's not about ethnic issues, it's a communal situation, and it's been created by the Congress government because it benefits their vote bank. Where does the truth lie?
I tend to disagree with Mr. Rudy. It's not a communal fight. It's basically a fight for ethnic identity. You see, this is a disaster that is waiting to happen. This is not the first riot in BTC area. The first riot happened in the 90s. 93 we had one riot, 94, 98, 96 and 2008. if you won't believe that around 1 lakh people of those riot, victims of those riots, are still in the relief camps in various parts of Bongaigaon district and Kokrajhar district. This is basically a fight over land. You see the Bodo community who has, these are all tribal belts, they are used to rule that. Now they have become minority in their own land. There is a feeling within the community that their percentages have gone up, their lands are gone, and then ethnic migrants who have come from the bordering districts from across the border are in majority.
Mr. Rudy just wants to come in quickly to react on that. Go ahead, Rajiv.
Now, I really do not know this gentleman who is there on the screen, and I can see him there, but I am most unfortunate. He himself admits that the people have come across the border, taken away the lands of the people there, and now this ethnic violence or a communal violence is an outcome of an act of the failure of the government. And he says he does not act with Mr. Rudy, who says that the government of India and the government of the state, be it be whosoever, have failed to comply with the law of the land, and the situation has arisen when those who were majority and rulers of the land have become minority. The land has been usurped by people across the borders, and here is a gentleman who is trying to say that Mr. Rudy does not understand what is happening in that part, and it was inevitably going to happen. Most unfortunate and most irrational.
No, what I am trying to say, it's not a communal situation.
We have understood what you are trying to say.
Let me bring in Mr. Rudy. Let me bring in Praveen Swami on that. Whether we talk about ethnic or communal fault lines, the point is the fact that clearly the Assam border, that you've had migrants come in from across. There's been a whole dispute over who is illegal, when's the cut-off date to decide who's the actual belongs to Assam or is the right to the land of Assam, or which is the cut-off date. No government in Assam, whether it was 2 AGP governments or 3 Congress governments, has had the political will to do something about it. Is that the real issue here? Because when we talk about terrorism across the border, we're talking about simple issues of land disputes.
The problem of people from outside coming and settling in a part of in parts of the country where there are tribal communities or other communities who find themselves at, if you like, the receiving end of feeling disadvantaged, isn't exceptional to Assam. You will hear people in Maharashtra, after all, say the same thing. You've had some stellar reporting on this channel over the years. What concerns me is, yes, of course, there's a communal problem in Assam today. What concerns me is precisely what Mr. Barua said, that the warning signs have been there for years and years and years. In 2008, a judicial investigation was conducted into this by Justice P.C. Fukan, if I'm right. I would love to be hearing from both the central and state government now about what exactly was done on that Commission of Inquiry's findings, and more important, what they intend to do now. As was pointed,
that's clear.
You have lakhs of people in camps now who will not go home because naturally they will be terrified about what lies ahead. In those camps, we've seen everywhere that refugee camps are breeding grounds for hatred. Identities and attitudes will harden over coming years. You have a humanitarian crisis. You have a sowing season coming up, and the desperately poor in that area are not going to be able to sow their crop. You have a huge problem. And for Mr. Khan to stand up at the beginning of this program and say, as he did, that we are studying the situation, it's a little late for that. It really there's been plenty of occasion to study it earlier. And it's sad to see governments, sitting around saying everything's fine, there's no problem. That's just not acceptable.